Hello and welcome back to Remnant 2. So I returned back from the Ward 13 and we're back here at the Ancient Canopy, actually the start of the Forgotten Kingdom DLC in this whole zone, because you see that NPC marker? That egg has now hatched and is now finished. So now we can actually go get the reward. There's mixed reports I've seen as to how long you have to wait. Some people say you just have to beat a boss or dungeon. Some people say you just have to effectively like fast travel to Ward 13 after walking up to the egg. And then once you come back, some say that you have to, instead of this area, you have to get through and go to the next area where the rest of our quest currently takes us. Considering we were already in that area and then came back to properly trigger everything, I think it might rely on that. And then if you already check off the being in that area, the game just goes, okay, next kind of factor that could play into this would just be time. You know, just go somewhere, come back, and it'll get counted. Which is what I would suggest, trying to get all this area cleared first. Don't make the mistake I did. Simply because it complicates things. Some people, I guess, have waited too long and ended up losing out entirely on getting the item, which would be a pretty big bummer, honestly. Not like it's that difficult, since it's all kind of bound to this area, as long as you get the area, or you just run this one-shot. I guess you would run the one-shot, but you would run it and get normal dungeons from the rest of the game in it, because they're not at all dependent. But yeah, you could just run this area again and get it anyways. Because like I said, you'll need it for if you want the like eggnog stuff. Don't know why you would outside of, if you're like me, for completion's sake. But now that everything is finally dead, we can go up here and get our item. Alright, let's look at our regurgitated spiny sack here. Wait. Well, that's fun. The game took away our trap. It didn't save. That's a very interesting situation to have. So we have to rebuy that, which is whatever. I don't really care. Because yeah, everything else, amplitude, all that's still here. Huh. Whatever. Game just being strange. Probably I must have not like quit correctly and the game didn't save right, or some dumb little thing. Let that be a lesson to you. When you quit, actually use the quit to main menu and have it properly save and everything. Because you never know when a game is going to not have timed autosaves. Also, I just realized I forgot to actually look at the spiny sack itself.
You're back. What do you...
Alright, so giving back my flying bomb trap that you took from me, and our new gun, Thorn. We're actually gonna quick level this up, because I have enough to do a couple weapon upgrades. And I think this one's pretty solid.
Take care, my friend.
Accidentally upgraded Alpha Omega, I was just too eager. But Thorn should be right here. If it looks a bit familiar, it's because it more or less kind of is the gun you get, or you see from the, like the Root soldiers on Yasha. And this neat ability. Yeah, so we have the Needler from Halo. Its second effect, Deadwood, or its mod, disables automatic blowback, which is the explosion, while increasing the reload speed by 25%, fire rate by 15%, reactivating the mod will detonate all needles at once for 100% additional damage. So you can just go boop. And as you can probably figure out, if you run something like detonation trigger with it, you can do some nasty work with this weapon. As for mutators, what you could put on it, like Bandit, always a solid one, just to refill your magazine as you're firing. Outside of that, Extender's not bad. Just boost your magazine capacity so you can keep firing. You can always go Fetid Wounds, Twisted Wounds, Searing Wounds, the classics, just because damage. I wouldn't go Searing Wounds if you're running Detonation Trigger, for obvious reasons. You're going to have 2 burning debuffs. And if you're running, not Invoker... Gotta check the class, I always forget its name. Ritualist. Terrible name, should have been Hexer. But yeah, you're on Ritualist. You'll want as many debuffs and a variety of debuffs as possible. So, running Twisting Wounds, running Fetid Wounds, those are your better options. You could probably go... Refunder isn't bad. It's just... I mean, it's not bad at all. Shots have a 50% chance to go right to your reserves. Otherwise, there's not a ton I would really suggest. Like, Time Wave... Applying slow to enemies within 10 meters, it works, but I wouldn't really rely on it. I wouldn't do something like top heavy. Stuff like transpose I think is too niche. But yeah, in general, like bandit, always solid, your elementals. What do I want to run on this? Because I think I will run it, because... No, actually, I'll run the Black Maw. Actually, scratch that. Because of how I'm doing this, we're going to run Thorn for right now. Black Maw will be useful in one of the alternate endings. Actually, this might work for that ending, too. Why not? Let's give this a whirl with Bandit active. Switch back to our Whispering Marble and do a quick DPS test. Actually, we'll do a full, proper DPS test, summons included. See how well we do with one magazine. $3K isn't terrible. Yeah, so that was like 15K if you just run the actual mod out and unload with that. So that's... I mean, I'm not gonna say that's okay damage, that's pretty great damage. Let's be real with ourselves. Now, do I think that it's, like, meta-defining damage for Thorn? Nah, I'm not gonna go that far. I think it's good, it's just... anything can be good if you work with it enough. Okay, so we gotta go... Where do I have to go with this? Because that, I believe, is... Oh, a private driver, yep. I'll figure it out. Okay, so I just did a bunch of stuff I didn't have to do, like running back through a dungeon, because I forgot I had already gotten the waterfall. And I, for some stupid reason, thought the hands moved when you did that, but I forgot you actually have to pull the lever, and then the hands will move. I was sitting here the whole time going, man, why isn't this, you know, triggering correctly? But no, that was just me being stupid. So now we have the Cherished Fracture, which is the missing part of Lydusa. What room is this? Okay, yeah. So, we're gonna do... This is gonna be an interesting one. So there's 3 endings here. We are going to do the good ending, because there's the good, the bad, and what's considered the secret ending. So we're just gonna go do the good one. When you get it, you can come in here, do not go up the elevator, and talk to Lydusa, if you want the good ending. Instead, what you want to do now is we need to get over to Goddess's Rest, which we could have went the other way and been smart about this, but I'm stupid and don't wanna. So we're gonna go the kind of weird way, which is also, this is kind of why I went and got that dungeon unlocked, because now I should be able to fast travel right to it. I just have to run through here. But yeah. This is... I'd say this is the... I mean, it's obviously the good ending, but in terms of rewards, I want to say this is the best reward you can get. I can't remember. The good and bad endings have different rewards. One is a gun, one is melee weapon. And the melee weapon's good, but obviously the gun is better. And I believe I mentioned it before with this dungeon, Goddess's Rest. You can do it and get a boss fight, but I don't know if you can do it, get the boss fight, and then return for the good ending. So I'm simply not doing it. If you're going for the bad ending, you can come here, run this as a normal dungeon, and get the Searing Wounds mod, or mutator. Hate these red does, they're annoying. Also, I think I don't remember, I didn't go back and watch, but I think I went to a location that had a big red doe statue, and I screwed that up because if you kill all the does, you get a boss spawn. I can't remember, I think the item's kinda meh, so if you, like me, were just confused and left, you didn't lose out on much. Something you can just kind of pick up at another date. I don't think there's anything up in the tower, but we'll check. I know it's nothing quest-related or super worthwhile, but who knows, maybe there's some money. Slayer's Crest, yeah, that's base game loot. Not too broken up on that one. Yeah, this gun performs so well. That's the funny part is, all of the weapons for this DLC are so good, it makes me kind of worry about what the Nerud DLC is going to have in it. Because it's either going to be further power creep, or it's just going to be weapons that everybody picks up, goes, oh, okay, they're whatever, and just ditches them instantly. Because, I mean, come on. Having effectively the Needler, that's hard to beat. And especially when you can disable blowback, stack up an easy 10k damage. And a big thing to note, too, actually, a few things to note when it comes to this is also, like, my build. I get a little bit of damage up, so 10% damage off that. And I'm actually dealing 15% reduced damage. So I'm only getting a 20% bonus. I could easily stack this up to 35 and drop it back down to 25 if I drop my Whispering Marble and all my summon build stuff. But if I do that, I could probably build this out even stronger. It isn't going to get you weak point hits, which I think is kind of... It's not bad, I think it's a fair balancing act. I think that's always fair when games give you like a homing weapon that just say, yeah, you can't get like headshots unless you do some finagling with it and have a target like here, and then you try to arc around to home in, but it homes in at some screwy angle. Because I've done that. It's doable, it's just at that point you're essentially adding extra steps. And I think that's, at that point, that's fair too. You know, if you're willing to put in the work to get a crit, sure. But it's just kind of a no free rides kind of deal. If you want it, you gotta work for it. If not, that's on you. What is this? Guardian's Ring, I already have it. Ah, no ammo. I was kind of hoping one of those 3 digs would have got me some.
That looks important.
But now we're to the actual main part of this dungeon. These little neat pillars. We can't see it, it's like right along up here. But we have to find, I think, 5 or 6 of them and touch them. And when we do, we open that door, and that's kind of like the main boss fight, loot room. I was gonna say etc., but that's literally it. It's the loot room and boss.
Great. More
One thing I will say, though, about Thorn, and this isn't a shot at anybody who runs it and mains it, it does risk becoming a crutch. I've run into the same issue in Warframe, actually, where I used the Ignis Wraith for so long that my accuracy went just down the tubes because I was so accustomed to just firing in the general direction and getting a kill, that when I would switch off it, it felt weird because I actually had to aim. And that's something folks have to kind of come to grips with, is just because something is this good doesn't mean you should let it kind of erode your actual skill set. Because otherwise, if you let it just kind of wear away at your skill set, then when it gets nerfed inevitably, you're going to end up sitting here going, "Aw, damn, I don't have anything," and then you have to kind of redouble your efforts to get that muscle memory back. Yep, see? 2 out of 5. Of course, what we were just in is the easy side. This side's also easy, it's just a bit longer. But the matter of avoiding making crutches, that's actually a really big thing when it comes to game design in general. is trying to devise... We'll actually come back here. We have to come this way anyway, so we'll go down that later. But you have to devise cool and unique weapons, especially in looter shooters and things like that, while also refraining from making things become crutches. Because we've especially seen it in Destiny. Somebody will have a crutch weapon, their crutch weapon gets nerfed, and then people get real butthurt. As a weak, like, 2 Yallarhorn owner, I know all about having a crutch. I used to use Yallarhorn specifically back in the day to score invites to raids with a friend of mine, because he didn't get it. I didn't get a drop of it. I didn't get the Yallarhorn to drop until like the last week of Year 1 Destiny. But I had bought it the one time Xur had it. And I've told this story before, but it's always funny to me. I remember the first week, I think it was Red Death was for sale, and I didn't have the coins for it, and I was really bummed, because I thought Red Death was cool. And I went to class, one of my buddies goes, "Oh yeah, did you buy the weapon?" I'm like, "No, I didn't have enough mysterious coins for it." He's like, "Oh yeah, well Xur comes every week, I saw, so we just have to pick up whatever's next," and I wanted an exotic. Xur was there, and I was like, it's a launcher, I'm not really going to use it, whatever. Picked it up, didn't think twice about it, and then come to find out, it was effectively the God gun. And as a result, every time there is a raid group that's like, "Oh, so you need to have Yallarhorn," I'd just be like, "Hey, I have it, can my friend and I team up?" And people would be like, "Yeah, one of you has it." And so my friend, I essentially made him learn every raid mechanic. So he became the shield guy in Vaulted Glass, he was the sword guy in Crota's End. We didn't really have anything for King's Fall. That was just kind of everybody praying to figure it out. Those are good times, but it is an issue, and then obviously Bungie held off on bringing that back whenever possible until they needed to sell a DLC, and then magically, "Hey, what's up everybody, guess what's back?" Which really got tedious, seeing the same gun just get kind of drudged out for boosting sales. I think we're going to actually have to go into that elevator now. If I had known, I would have done this another way, but whatever, I don't really care. Yeah, because I think that is the path. I don't remember. I've done this area like twice. I just have faint recollections of things. Yeah, balancing, it's tough. Always a challenge for folks. That's why I'm never overly tough on devs for it. Because it's like, yeah, I feel ya. You want to make cool things, but you don't want to disrupt the ecosystem.
Okay.
I'd appreciate more primary ammo. Because I know I can carry like 200 rounds. But I guess that's not the game we're playing here today.
Here they come.
Now I'm confused, because that other area should have been an isolated thing then. I know there's a way there. I'm going back. We're figuring this out. Because I know for a fact, because I've cleared that and there's a door. Plus, I think for all intents and purposes we're done. We got the 5 pillars, I think. We'll look quick since it's just a jaunt over here. Yeah, so that door's open. We'll open that actually once we figure this out, because this is starting to bother me. Don't go down. Can't go up. That door opens from the other side. This is gonna be something just stupidly simple that I'm ignoring. Because I don't think it's a jumping point or anything like that. Because I remember one of the times I did this, I ran through the area like 4 times. Am I stupid? I swear I am. You know, I'm just gonna be back when I actually get to this, because this is gonna drive me insane, and God knows how long this will take me. Okay, so while I was exploring, I found a different spot I forgot about. So if you take the elevator down, kind of where we were just before, there's actually a spot right here. And then I think, yep, it's an elevator here. Coincidentally, this has nothing to do with the area I'm trying to get into. This is just another one I stumbled upon and remembered.
Oh, I could use that.
So we can get the Bloodless Heart. 50% use bonus on use grants us a shield that prevents all or nearly all damage for 3 seconds. People have claimed there are ways you can extend the effect of this and have like 20 to 30 seconds of invincibility, which I completely believe. Yeah, never a big fan of illusory walls. Always found them a bit tedious to deal with. Now, I believe I have some of the gear that's supposed to drop in this room, or that can drop, like the Bloodless Crown. There's... Bloodless King's Vow. I don't know if I have that one. Oh yeah, I do. That's the one that's the lifesteal. And that's actually it. But we'll keep moving around and I'll try to get back to the one spot and get that open. Otherwise, I'll meet you back at the door, which is like right over there. Okay, I'm genuinely stupid. I tried climbing over here. Oh. Okay, I'm just really stupid. I did it too early because I couldn't get it earlier. And yeah, it's literally just a climb up. But you know how it is, sometimes you get a little too in your own head about things, and you're like, nah, it can't be that simple. You tried it before, and turns out you just didn't do it right. Or you have things that just don't look like they're climbable, and then you just say, screw it, we're gonna try it, and then it turns out you were right. Not a whole lot of rewards, but it's rewards. And now it's just a quick run back to the door. Thankfully it's not too far, otherwise this would have been really annoying going back and forth all these times. I did see one thing worth mentioning. When you go in here, if you have the fragment, you can't leave. Or, like, you can leave, but Lydusa will take it back. So you just have to kind of give it willingly, which isn't a big deal. It's kind of expected. Ah, here's the crown. And then, normally, you'd have the boss spawn here, but because we have the item, the boss doesn't spawn.
You pieced Lydusa back together. All my shards united again. I am whole. I am me. How long was poor Lydusa's shadow split? So long. Too long.
What exactly happened to you?
I recall it now. I was waiting for my darling Thalos. On each ruby moon, he made a pilgrimage to my temple and sent all the priestlings away. The night belonged to only he and I, Thalos and Lydusa. But that night, the terrible priestlings betrayed him. They told Lydusa they would kill her Thalos if I didn't obey. So I did. They locked me in this cold, empty temple. Made me sing the stones to life. More, and more still. Yet I obeyed. Anything to save my Thalos. But Lydusa was a fool. The priestlings had already killed her precious Thalos. They lied to me. So I shed this fragile mortal body. And I remember little after that. Only the screams and the wrath, rattling and grinding inside. It's quiet now. But the hurt, it still hurts. My Thalos is gone, beast. What should this poor godling do?
Remember him. Remember that he loved you.
I will. I will. I'll remember him and sing. I'll teach the stones the song of Thalos. And these lands shall sing of him forever and ever. I do hope you can forgive Lydusa. I was not myself. I'll remove my stone-touch curse from your poor, squishy flesh. Now I can leave this guild cage of cruel, cherished memories. And cherish them I will, for they are all precious. Even the cracks and the shards, the broken, painful bits. And the pieces that are missing still. They too are precious, because they're me. They will always be me. And I sense something else. You seek to save something precious too, don't you? I can hear it in your life song's hum. A tune harmonious with my own. This spirit of the land would aid you. I will grant you a precious piece of myself. Thank you, sweet beast. I hope you find what you seek.
Yeah, so that's the good ending. Get this neat rock, which we will turn into a weapon. I think we can talk to Walt, because I want to say he has some new dialogue. I also just remembered we also have to talk to the soldier. Their stories have yet to conclude, but it'll be easy getting to both of them. Yeah, it's not a bad, good ending, to say the least. It's kind of written in a way that it doesn't have to have, like, any major knock-on effects for the world. It's just like, oh hey, Lydusa's free now. Yep, and this is part of the soldier's storyline. Farsighted, I believe that's increased damage against enemies further than like 7 meters. We can quick check that. Increase range damage to this weapon by 1.25% for every 2.5 meters from the shooter to the target. And then increases the weapon's ideal fall off and max range. If it's anything like the, I think, Gunslinger skill or trait, you cannot extend the range of the Flamethrower or Nebula beyond their like 7-meter reach. Even though the game will say like, oh yeah, the range is increased. The actual like trail has I believe a hard-coded limit. Yep, so we can't change his fate at all. He always, to my knowledge, he always dies here. The last page, considering he's been trapped here for decades, it's sad. Just him going through memories, writing his wife, and then the last page just being him excited, saying, hey, a guy knows how to get out of here, only to die in the process. I'll admit that is the one thing that I don't like about this DLC, but it's a thing a lot of DLCs have as an issue, is when they add characters, sometimes games will just be like, yeah, we don't really want to integrate them any further, so their story ends with their death. The only thing I could see realistically is he might have gotten sloppy, thinking, hey, I'm gonna get out of here, took a risk he shouldn't have took, and it cost him. It's sad, even though his wife is likely long gone, it would have been nice to be able to get him out. That said, I don't know how... From a character perspective, I don't know how he would have adapted to the world, considering he was still wondering, you know, did the Russians win? So he was still kind of stuck in the Cold War. And even though we told him, you know, the world ended, people are just kind of picking up the scraps. It's one thing to tell someone that, it's another for them to witness it. But let's talk to Walt.
Walt is lost. Walt is broken.
No worries, homie, we solved the problem.
Greetings, my friend. Sometimes dreams must come to an end. Isn't that the way? Yes, indeed it is. Walt will find a way to carry on. That said, there's something I need to say. I want to thank the Paxotech for being a friend. It has traveled this road with me, and I know it would travel it back again if I asked. Please, know that I find the Paxotech's heart to be true, and consider it a true friend and confidant. For all it has done, I offer this token of friendship. Did you want to buy something? With a friend's discount, of course. Or will my friend be on its way? It cannot resist my wares.
So as you can see, you can now get Burden of the Mesmer for 1,000 instead of 100,000.
Our time together, it will be missed. Greetings.
About the Stone Goddess.
Walt is listening.
She's gone now.
Gone. She's gone. Then it is over. I'm thinking that's for the best.
How so?
How to explain? See, Walt realizes now that his dreams were fueled by a darkness that consumed him from within. It came from a lifetime of sadness, desperation, loneliness, madness. I am ashamed of the thoughts that swam through my mind once I learned of the Lost Tribe's fate and the ancient power that sealed it. It is better that such power is lost to this world. Safe from Genus. Safe from me. Thank you for telling me, my dearest friend. I feel free. Hurt, but hopeful. Trust that Walt will be okay. Someday. Somehow. Anyway, if I can help in any way, just say the word. Walt will always be here for the Paxotech. Our time together, it will be missed.
Yep. So that wraps up the good ending for everybody. Now to just head to Ward 13 and see our fancy new weapon.
Okay, this is it.
What is it now? All right.
Now we get the melee weapon Mirage.
Okay.
I forgot. I thought the good ending gave you the gun. It's actually the bad, yeah, it's the bad ending that gives you the gun. But yeah, here's the two rings. Mesmer increases reduce max health, increases damage by 1% for every 5% of total damage reduction. And then increases projectile feathery binding, increases projectile speed by 15%, decreases charge time by 10, bonus is doubled when haste is active. So if you have the ring that gives you haste while healing, which is this one, and then you have any passive healing, you can get 20% reduced charge time, and 30% projectile speed, which is good for bows. And then our dog tags increase fire rate and reload speed by 15% and decrease weapon charge time by 15%. So you could probably build a pretty fast bow build. But here's our melee weapon. Flail, kind of neat, but then it's held attack. Keep in mind I'm also with the AoE boost, so this does serve a lot better than it normally would. And it has... This sandstorm actually pulls enemies in. It also takes stamina, but because we're here we have infinite stamina. It's okay. I think there's some cool things you can do with it. Each cyclone hit applying exposed is really good. A trick you can do would be using like Tainted Blade or there's another one. Shielded Strike is good. Attacks grant shield, and then you get bonus damage for having a shield up. Shocker is really good. So you have a few options. It's not the best weapon, but I think it's a solid option. But now we go on to getting the bad and really bad endings. Alright, so we had to get this ending, we had to do another run. We've gotten the Cherished Fracture, and we just went through to the Bloodless Throne like you normally would if you were following the path of the quest line. We'll see if Thorn works for this fight.
You have it, beast. Lydusa's precious thing. Give it to me.
Why am I still Shatter Split? I should be whole. I should be me. Why is it not enough? The screams. My screams. It will never end. Not until every beast is dead and gone. Crushed and dead. There is nothing left to me. Broken, empty. I will never sing again. Only scream. It hurts. Everything hurts. Quakes with my breath. I'll crush every last beast.
And I'll admit, this is a cool boss mechanic to have. Just wish my summons knew how to get out of the way. But I'll just kill them, I don't really care. If they get in the way, they get annoying.
Oh yeah! Ha ha ha! Oh yeah! No more room.
Now we can go talk to Dwell again, and he should have something different to say.
You'll pay, I swear. Ah, hello, Baxeltek. It has caught Walt in a contemplative mood. Nothing that concerns my hornless acquaintance, no need for concern. We are all crushed beneath the harsh reality of life at times. Lots of times, for some of us. Anyway, what is it wanting? Go away. Ah, help, nothing. Anyway. Out of my sight, Baxeltek.
So I guess Walt didn't have anything to say. And now that Lydusa is dead, let's get our final weapon, since the worst ending, or the secret ending, doesn't reward a new weapon. It's just whether you kill her or essentially redeem Lydusa.
Alright.
It's the one you've been seeing for a while. Monolith. This is another weapon that I think is really good.
Okay, that's all you get. Bye now.
Anything you need?
I'm actually going to power it up since I'm here.
Take care, my friend.
So, this one will inflict, I believe it's expose? Yeah, expose, so they take additional 15% damage. Reload's a little long, I feel, but for 7k DPS, if you're just landing all headshots like that, that's pretty solid. And then the effect, or the mod, keep in mind, like always, I have the AoE boost on here, so it's not that big. But whatever primary target, like this is the primary target, it locks onto, when that target dies, this sandstorm will actually move to another enemy. And that alone was 5k damage. So you can easily see, once we fill up a charge and get it going, even without a mod, this is an incredibly effective weapon. A lot of people use this, understandably so. $13k easy, and that's not even if you run Bandit. You're gonna get even more magazine out of it. If you run Fetid Wounds, if you run Twisted Wounds, Searing Wounds, anything like that, you're just getting more and more damage put on. In general, great weapon, would always suggest people to use it. But now we get to go and see the secret ending. Now for the secret ending, we have to get to where we are now, have the hands down, and we can go get the part for Lydusa. Just run up, grab the Cherished Fracture. No loot back here. And now, instead of going directly to Lydusa or to Goddess's Rest, we actually come back out, go back up the elevator to the last spot you can meet Dwell. Or not Dwell, Walt. And having spoken to Walt, he said his bit about Lydusa killing everyone. And now with the with the item in our inventory, we just talk to him.
Where do I go from here? Apologies, my friend. What can Walt help with today? Ask.
Okay, so we have nothing to say. We just have to interact with him and then leave this dialogue.
I hope its journey is peaceful, my friend. My dearest friend, it is true.
And now we have to make our way to Lydusa.
Why am I still Shattersplit? I should be whole. I should be me. Why is it not enough? Cruel goddess! Slayer of Pan! Destroyer of dreams! Foul, dirty beast! You will not hurt me. You will not use me. Not anymore. Not again. Not ever. You betrayed me. You are wicked. Wicked, like all the rest. You won't hurt Lydusa. No one will. There is nothing left of me. Broken. Lydusa will never sing again. Only scream.
And this fight just plays out as normal. Fight Lydusa, then you end up beating her, and you don't get any unique rewards or any new levels or mechanics to the boss fight. And that is the Forgotten Kingdom DLC. At this point, this is just kind of my general thoughts. If all you came here for was the gameplay, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one when the next DLC drops. But for everybody sticking around, yeah, let's just jump into kind of my general thoughts on this DLC as a whole. The actual class we get, the archetype, the Invoker, is extremely good. I think that's a big thing, but also I can't really say that's a unique aspect since the Ritualist, being the first DLC archetype, is extremely good as well. I'm glad they kept that going. There's always a fear when you sell classes or weapons in a game that they have to outperform base game content, because otherwise, if everything is a side grade or worse, or requires a lot more effort to make work, people just won't bother. And understandably so. It's annoying if you're just buying worse things since you're spending money on it. That said, it does reinforce power creep, which is always a concern. I've said it before, I was not a fan of the nerf to Burden of the Divine. I get it, we have a lot more healing options now thanks to the Invoker. I'm still just a little annoyed. Just because, to me, it kind of sucks to be like, oh, well, now my old medic build doesn't work and I'm kind of being railroaded into a new medic build. The new mods are okay. Like, Abrasive Wounds was needed. That was one that I was kind of surprised we didn't have at launch. Flying Bomb Trap, great synergy with Detonation Trigger, will always support that. Otherwise, like Heatwave is just bad. No actual damage outside of proccing a status effect that requires 3 seconds of interaction. So it's like, okay, you're gonna get 1,334 damage, and that's it. At that point, that enemy is locked in for 10 or 20 seconds, depending on your loadout and stat setup. But that's it. You're just waiting. And your ability's gonna run out, you're not gonna be able to reapply it. And 1,300 damage is extremely weak compared to 200 damage per impact, or Rotted Arrow even, like 261 base and detonates for another 300, so you can easily do 600 damage with 2 or 3 of these, totaling 1,800, so you're already outdoing this Heatwave, and you can do it at further ranges. Scrap Shot, 1,800 bleed damage. It is 50 points more for mod power. Applies a slow field. That's a lot better. Skewer, that's a better option. Soulbinder, Space Crabs, because you can chain that with Detonation Trigger to put fire damage on it. You could go Fargazer, you could go with so many better options that it is genuinely a hard sell to look at this and be like, yeah, this is a decent thing. It needs persistent fire damage while enemies are in the radius. Because, yeah, okay, so you'll get 2,600 damage, because if the enemy stays in the range for the whole 20 seconds and then stays a little after, it can proc again. But it raises the question of what enemy is standing within 15 meters of you for 30 seconds? You're not getting near a lot of bosses for 30 seconds. And if you are, you're shooting them, so you're going to out DPS them just by shooting. The unique or new mutators, I picked up a few just to run through the story a couple times. So we have like Farsighted. I think that's pretty good. That's a good long range mutator, and if you trick it out, it should actually be pretty solid. Pressure Point. It's okay. Good short range thing. Like I said, Flamethrower. So Hellfire or Nebula. Nearsighted. Close range. It's okay. Feels... Hang on, this feels very similar to Pressure Point. Increases by 15% within 7 meters. Okay, range damage. That's weird, because this is just oh, you boost your mod damage as well and you get an AoE blast when you activate an ability, as opposed to you just get better range damage and increases critical hit chance. 1,000 cuts. Good if you're having a very high rate of fire weapon. Like, you could use that on not even Thorn, but more like Monolith. You could do some good damage with that. Spellweaver, it's okay. Searing Wounds, that's a given. I was expecting something like that. I'm always for different elemental boosts. I do feel like you're kind of pushed a little too heavily into doing element builds, but that's the game as a whole. That's not new with this DLC. I like the new enemies because they actually make you use corrosive, but I hate that corrosive got nerfed. And it's interesting to say, hey, bleed doesn't work on these guys. It fits, they're stone, they shouldn't bleed. It kind of sucks because then bleed builds are completely negated, and that's kind of a kick in the gut to people who do bleed builds. The actual weapons we got, like Thorn's great. I think it's a cool idea, even though it is just the Needler. But who am I to complain? I love the Needler in Halo. The Monolith, great gun. Think it's very fun to use. A lot of utility. Expose is just so strong. I don't want it nerfed. I think it's actually in a healthy position. The crossbow, it's okay. It's the same problem with any crossbow. I don't see value in it compared to other weapons. Like, Sagittarius is strong because it has, like, Starfall, and you can use Detonation Trigger to work with that. You can use... I don't have the other bow. There's one that lets you create healing orbs. That one's really good. Melee weapons, like Shovel. Shovel's great. Being able to dig for ammo, primo idea. Crystal Staff, really fun. Interesting mechanic. Sometimes a little hard to pull off, but I think that's a benefit for it, because then you have to work for what can be a very powerful effect. Mirage is just fun. I like that these sand weapons are all built around applying expose. I like that it pulls enemies in. I like that it's a mace, or, I mean, if we're going to be specific, they're flails, even though it says it's a mace. I like flails, I think they're cool. It's nice to see us actually get one that's a boss version, considering we have boss versions of every other weapon type. The armor... The armor's hit and miss. Like, Bloodless Crown looks kinda okay. The battle helmet and stuff I think is cool because you can mix that battle outfit with the field medic and the Realm Walker outfit, so the Explorer class outfits. I like being able to kind of mix and match, play a little bit of dress up. At a certain point in any game like this, just like in any Souls game, it becomes a fashion thing. The actual, like, class armor, it's okay. You can kind of mix it with the Elder armor. You can probably mix a little bit with Red Widow, but probably not a ton. But it's alright. The amulets and all the rings... Like, Echo of the Forest is stupidly good. You have to get all 3 parts in one run, which I think is a bit challenging. But the item itself, getting your relic effect recast for free is really good. As a healer, being able to just apply your heal to yourself, your team, and then 15 seconds later get your relic healing again in case someone took damage, that's so good. Stuff like Beads of the Valorous or some of the other ones, they're like Worn Dog Tags, it's okay. I think the problem is some of the newer things aren't strong enough to kind of dislodge existing options. The new relics actually managed to get the one from Clawbone, because having to do a second run, I went back, got the amulet from him, went to the custodian, and talked to him, and he's like, hey, I can cleanse it, and I said, nah. Came back, got Profane Heart. Innate 3% lifesteal bonus on increase, increases all lifesteal efficacy by 50%. So really what that is you now have 4.5% lifesteal bonus. It's alright. You have to do a full lifesteal build. And then, yeah, I think it's a viable option. Bloodless Heart. I think you can probably pull some shiesty shit with that. A big thing is going to be, because it gives you a shield, you can probably synergize it with the healing ring. Some of the, like, the Colcat stuff, really more bulwark tricks, I'm all for it. I like the idea of a bulwark build becoming more of an option. Darksea Armada Crest, that is definitely part Invoker, part Ritualist. The rings, I feel, were kind of a hit and miss with this. But not everything can be a banger. If they all were, once again, you'd have just immense power creep with every update. I don't think I ever showed you guys actually how this class works, but we'll just go boom. And yeah, it'll keep doing that. It's powerful. There's no second guessing that. Now, as a proper review of the DLC itself, the dungeons were okay. The Proving Grounds, they're acceptable once you learn it, but I don't like any kind of jumping puzzles, parkour, anything like that in games where your mobility is more limited to just dodge rolling. The second you try to force that kind of stuff in, I had said it, I think, in the video, it's like when Destiny tries to do it. It's not fun, it's really tedious, it gets really annoying because you're having to do really stupid things. And in general, it kind of takes away from the fun. The new bosses are... they're not bad. They're not really standout. Like the one that's just one of the normal statue guys. It's okay. I'm not exactly losing my mind, oh, this is the greatest design ever. I did like that Lydusa had 2 endings. It makes sense because when you look at like the One True King, he had the option of being killed without breaking his melee weapon or by breaking it, and the result changes what you get.
Flowers. I just planted some.
So, that tracks. Instead of just saying, hey, you gotta kill Lydusa, like, a certain way, just give us a second option, which I think is cool. I like having kind of a, hey, here's an option where everybody lives, but, you know, Walt has to face the fact that what he was doing in his pursuit was more out of anger and a revenge plot than anything, and that losing that ability to control stones was for the best. I like that. I like that Lydusa can be kind of redeemed. I also like that you have the option of doing the secret ending where everyone dies. Walt lets his anger consume him, he betrays you, and dies in the process. Lydusa dies. It's nice having a bad ending, because otherwise it kind of sucks, because then you're just doing the same ending time and again. I didn't like the flying at dive bomb enemy guy. Hate him. I don't like the scream, because it's more or less you need to have summons or something else to hit him, or you're going to get a few small windows, or you have to rely on mods, and it's not a fun experience. You can't dodge away far enough, because he'll just chase you down and on his last dive scream. I'd like to see that reworked, but I can't imagine they're really going to go back and fix that enemy. Having Clawbow in return was a really interesting bit. Kind of a cool throwback to Remnant 1, and I'm always all for Remnant 1 references. In general, if it's a question of is this DLC worth it, I'd say yeah. I see a lot of people on Steam kind of dunking on this one and the last one, like, oh, they're terrible, they're not worth the money. Realistically, you have an archetype that is good and worth using. It is both an attack and defensive archetype, so you can't complain that, oh, it only caters to one playstyle. The other abilities within it, Way of Maedra heals all allies and conjures forest growth after fully blooming allies regain additional health per second and gain lifesteal. Enemies gain gloom, so they take additional elemental damage, which once again synergizes with the Ritualist. Ray of Lydusa is entirely just buffing yourself. Boost to range and melee damage with the power of Brittle, allowing the Invoker to generate Sand Devils through enough kills, lasts 20 seconds. Reactivating the skill consumes all Sand Devils generated and casts a Sand Blast per charge. Brittle increases critical chance and critical damage. And when you look at it, we'll just look at the Prime perk here. Doubles base skill charges for all archetypes. Skill activation reduces all cooldowns by 10%. For heavy weapons, doubles the ammo. So, you could sit here, run Ritualist, you run Miasma, you get 2 charges. Last 40 seconds, cooldown of 36. You cast it, you get a 10% cooldown reduction, so now you're at 33 seconds. 32 if you count the 0.6 and you round down. But we'll just be generous, say 33. So you can almost always have a Miasma up. It sucks for Summoner, because I don't think you can actually summon additional guys. But for anybody else, Alchemist being able to get your buffs up more, Engineer getting double ammo, that is huge, and probably could play into a good, like, tank build that people have done with Engineer. It's not going to be good on Handler. Archon synergizes so well. It's stupid. Invader could actually work well, because you'd be able to get double charges, have the dodge, and kind of run a scuffed dodge god build. So I think that offers something pretty unique. But yeah, you're paying for some good stuff. You're getting solid weapons that I can definitely see making it to the next DLC and being viable. They're not elemental, so you don't have to worry about getting something and finding out, oh, the enemies, like in this one, were immune to bleed. Oh, they're immune to corrosive, they're immune to fire. Thorn just does damage. And I think that's going to be the big boon for it. I think that really covers all of it. A solid DLC, solid story. Yeah, it kind of sucks. We had some reskinned enemies. We had a bunch of reskinned enemies in the last one, so I'm not too shocked. All in all, it's good. I hope the Nerud DLC is good. I do wonder, the devs have talked about doing additional DLCs after. I don't know what direction they're gonna go. If it's more like tertiary game modes, I'm probably not gonna bother with them. The roguelike mode from Remnant 1, it was okay, but I couldn't see myself spending $5, $10, $15 on it. It doesn't offer me a lot of replay value. I've said it before, I'd like to go back to Resum, I'd like to go back to ROM. Of course, this is already kind of doomed, and we had the Swamps of Corsus DLC, so that area has already had its main content and then additional content. I'd like to see all the old weapons come back, but at this point I'm not too, like, up in arms over it. It's whatever. I just miss cold, I miss radiation, I thought they were cool. And they were at least effects that you could apply to enemies as well, instead of, like, Curse, where it's an enemy exclusive effect. I just don't like that. And defrag is such a terrible status effect in this game. There's a reason only one weapon applies it. And only one mod specifically, because nobody can really bother with it, and I don't blame them. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.